Today, the world is facing something we haven't seen for 66 million years, because today we are facing evolution. It's conscious evolution, and that means that when you look outside the window, when you turn on the TV, when you watch the internet, you see problems everywhere in the world. When you read the paper, every day a new headline, a new crisis is happening every day on this planet. And it's important to recognize this is not an accident, that something is going on here. And what's going on is we are facing a new evolution for this reason, that what we are seeing now is called the sixth mass extinction of life. 5 times in the history of this planet, life was thriving, and some event wiped out 90% of life each time. The last time we had this crisis, 66 million years ago, the planet had tropical forests and jungles and dinosaurs. And a comet hit the earth near Mexico, and the environment turned upside down, and 90% of life disappeared, including all the dinosaurs. Today, we're in the 6th mass extinction. And the significance is this. The first 5 were due to natural things like a comet or lots of earthquakes and volcanoes. But today, science is saying that we, human behavior, is creating the 6th mass extinction. We are causing our own extinction. And you go, what is this, 1,000 years from now? No, in decades from now, civilization is facing the biggest crisis ever. And what we start to recognize, first of all, we're in climate crisis. And thank goodness, last week, the young people of this world said, this is enough. We must do something. Stop the businesses and the industrial people from destroying the planet, because the kids don't have a future. And this is a real understanding. And people say, climate crisis, oh, the water will melt, the ice will melt, and the water will come up. And I say, yeah, that's okay, that's a problem. There's a bigger problem. How can you grow food if you don't know what the weather is going to be? Will it rain? Will it be too cold? Will it be too hot? The biggest problem then is this. How are we going to feed ourselves when the farmers can't plan the future? We are in trouble with that. But there's more than that going on. What we're finding out is this. In 1970, the World Wildlife Foundation took a survey. How many animals are on planet Earth? And then they just did the survey again 2 years ago. 2/3 of all the animals on the planet have disappeared since 1970. We only have 1/3 the number of animals, and they're disappearing very, very fast. Something's going on. That within the next 20 years, there will be no fish in the ocean. It's like science fiction. I say, no, we are overfishing. We're taking too many fish out. We're polluting the ocean. We're destroying where the breeding ground is for the fish. And so in 20 years, science says there will be no fish on planet Earth. Imagine, some of you will be here, many of your children will be growing up, and they say, there used to be fish. What are fish? That's like science fiction itself. It's happening right now. That we also know this. In Germany, 27 years they take a survey. How many insects are on the planet? And after 27 years, what did they find? That we have lost 75% of all the insects. Only 25% are left. We're losing the animals, we're losing the fish, we're losing the insects. And you go, oh, the insects? I don't care about mosquito. But what about bees? The bees we need to pollinate the crops. Otherwise, again, no food. And then in the United States, NASA, the scientific organization, has taken a big survey and said, what? In 2 decades, industrial civilization, the one we live in, is irreversible collapse. Irreversible, meaning it's going to collapse and it's the end. And I say, wow. And you're looking at the world right now, and as I said, all the chaos that's going on, that's not an accident. Because the idea is this: crisis causes evolution. Why? You can't keep doing what we're doing because it's the end of that. We need to change now. We need to change fast. And it's so important to understand this because when you see the world falling apart right now, it's the end of civilization as we know it. But the interesting part is it's not really the end of us because a new civilization is forming. And it's so important for me to tell you this, that being in this audience, you represent the future. You're looking at a new way of life, a new way of creating health, a new way of creating harmony on this planet. That's what we need right now. So I want to thank you, because when you show up here, that means I'm saying, let's get ready for a new future. And so thank you, because you are the creators of a new civilization that is coming. When we look at the history of civilization, there have been civilizations that have come and gone and come and gone. It doesn't end people. It just means new civilizations. We go back 10,000 years ago, and we had the Druids in Europe. We had the Native Americans in North America. We had the Aborigines in Australia. These people called the Animus people, indigenous people, you know what their life was like? That nature was a garden, and that they knew they were here to take care of the garden. But then a new idea happened. Because the indigenous people, to them, everything was spiritual. Every drop of water was spiritual. Every plant was spiritual. Every person was spiritual. If you know, like the Native Americans, before they go hunt for a deer, they pray to the spirit of the deer. And when they cut a tree down, they pray to the spirit of the tree, because everything was spiritual. But then a new civilization came. Polytheism, Romans, Greeks, the Egyptians. And I say, what was different about them? Well, they took the spirit out of the raindrop. They took the spirit out of the plants and the spirit out of the people. And what did they do? They made gods represent the spirit. But it was interesting because at least the gods were still here on the planet. But the next civilization changed all that. Judeo-Christian monotheism. They put all of the gods into one God, and that God doesn't even live here. That God lives somewhere else. No more spirit here. And then the church was telling them, don't live for this planet, live for the future after you die. You can go to heaven. And so they said, this is a testing ground. This is to see if you're worthy to go to heaven. It's how you live here determines if you can get in there. And they said that this place is damned, that you don't want to be here, you want to be there. And in 1859, a new idea came in. Charles Darwin, he created a theory of evolution. And what was different? Because back in the 1800s, they had no TV, they had no internet. What did they do for entertainment? They raised plants and animals. That's what they did. I say, why was it relevant? Because Darwin said evolution occurs when two animals mate and the offspring have different traits, a new trait. Like two dogs will mate, and the litter of puppies will almost be like the parents, except every now and then one of the puppies is very different. They say the runt of the litter, the one that's not the same. And Darwin's idea was, well, what if you take the runt of this litter and have it mate with another runt? Oh, we would create a whole new line of species of runts. And that the idea is that heredity and reproduction and accidents during reproduction cause evolution. Well, the people of that day were hearing Darwin give that story, and they also heard the church talk about magic, 7 days. There was no planet, then there was a planet, then there was water, then there were trees, and at the end they put the humans on the top. And the reality was people said, that doesn't sound so good. And as a result, they left the church behind. And we started a new civilization, the one we're in right now. And it's based on science. Not just science, it's called scientific materialism. What does that mean? Science of matter, science of the physical world, because we are physical beings in a physical world, and that was the new science. But look, it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. But it doesn't mean civilization ends. A new one is beginning. And it becomes important because civilization has a lifestyle, a life cycle. Things are born, things mature, things die. But it's not just people. Stars are born, stars mature, stars die. Civilizations are born, they mature, and civilizations die. So there's a life cycle to civilization. And over time, what does it mean? Is that something is born, matures, and then it goes into decline. And so I can relate civilization to a child. The first part of the civilization is development. And children, you know what children do? They try all different kinds of things. Oh, they go behind the house and they smoke a cigarette. They go out and do something that the parents can't see. They're trying things. But where are the parents? Well, they're mature. And what happens when you become mature? You have a rigid belief. This is the way life is. And this is the problem between parents and children. Parents are telling children, do it this way. And the children are going, we do it our own way. But as they grow up, they also become rigid. And I say, so what's the problem with a rigid belief? And the answer is simply this. Nothing in the universe stays the same. The whole universe is always changing. I say, then what would be the problem if something tries to stay the same when the universe is changing? And the answer is, it causes challenges. And that's what you see in the news. That's what you see going around the world. We're being challenged because we're not adapting to a new way of life. Then I say, well, what happens if you don't adapt? Well, that's when it goes into decline. And civilization now is falling apart. And yet, as I said, it doesn't mean the end, because a new civilization is being born. And this new civilization has cultural creatives. And thank God, because why? Because as I told you already, if you're in this audience, you are cultural creatives. You are the people looking, give me a better answer, give me a better way of life, and looking outside of the box. Because the answers are not inside the box, the answers are outside the box. The box is the problem.